Om lokaha samastaha sukhi no bhavantu. May all beings be happy and peaceful. May all of my viewers and students be divinely guided. May infinite intelligence govern over all of your financial transactions, and may you be prosperous. Hello everyone, it is Wednesday. My name is Phoenix. For those of you joining my channel for the first time, I appreciate you tuning in and supporting my work. Of course, none of the views expressed in this video are financial advice. It's all personal, my own personal take on the markets. For those of you that are interested in learning more about trading, I do have courses available. I have the Small Cap Superstars report on my website. You can find the link in the description. If you want to join the C3 community and see all of my trades in real time and see my ideas of trade setups as they play out, you can do that by simply signing up for 𝐬𝐸, which 𝐬𝐸 actually is currently having a pretty awesome competition. You have the opportunity to win a Tesla and some BMW motorcycles. Pretty cool, if I do say so myself. So we're going to dive into the charts now, and we'll start with the DXY and the SPY, and then we'll look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the alts. Currently, I have several short positions open. I have been very transparent about this, both on Twitter and in the C3 group and on YouTube as well. We were expecting, or actually anticipating, a potential for Bitcoin to push up higher than this 25,200 level. Alas, that was not the case. Of course, we have to be prepared for all potential scenarios. And I did share with you the breakdown below the January high, which we just experienced today, actually the last 12 hours or so. But first, let's look at the DXY, still holding up pretty strong. Of course, we are headed into the FOMC meet, not the meeting itself, but the minutes. So potentially high impact event, but we shall see. Most likely going to be bullish for the dollar, okay? Most likely going to reiterate a hawkish stance. So be aware of that. Hopefully this video gets out before that happens, but we could see some volatility over the next hour or two as a result of that. Okay, so S&P 500, nothing new here either. Hasn't come back up to retest this previous level, this range low here. Definitely playing out as expected. Most likely going to find some support down at around 380, but could drop a lot lower. And as a matter of fact, truth be told, I do anticipate much more falling because of the macroeconomic conditions, because of the socio-political climate that we're in right now, because of the potential for breakout of war. And this could happen any day, week, or month. Nobody really knows for sure, but I think that's going to definitely have a negative impact on the markets. That's something that nobody's really talking about. I think none of us really want to see that happen, but it seems to be moving in that direction. So Bitcoin, we see the deviation. Okay, again, this is very, very clear to me, and I'm going to just continue to show you this. This was the major range that we've been in for the last 3 or 4 weeks now. This was the deviation from the range, got back inside, broke all the way through, slightly above, as is usually the case when we get that deviation. But now again, we have another deviation. So what do you think is going to happen next? Most likely headed back down at minimum to 22,500, but potentially much lower, maybe 21,500, find some support there. And then we have to reassess. But this is from the daily perspective. And was it really all that unusual when you take a look? This is why I always look on different time frames to see what's going on, because you see all these wicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And they're all at a critical level of resistance for Bitcoin. Previously, always look to the left. You see here, these wicks, okay? It's actually picture perfect. I was thinking that maybe it would push up slightly higher, 25,500, maybe even to 26 temporarily, but it didn't do that, okay? It doesn't have to do anything that we expect it to do. We're always just simply responding to what we're seeing. Now, I entered shorts here, not on Bitcoin, but on Ethereum, when I'll show you with Ethereum. But with Bitcoin, it's safe to say, well, I wouldn't say it's safe to say because you never know for sure, but from here, Here we're just beneath this January high, 23,958. I would expect it to actually retest that level. If it starts to break down from there, then like I said, I mean, it already is a higher probability that it's going to head back down to the bottom of this range, but this would actually be a short trigger for those conservative entries looking to short down. And this right here, this 23,137, I believe is the February open here, but headed back down to 22,500. And then from there, most likely will come back down lower from there, just because of what we've seen so far with deviations, these over-under patterns. It's very typical for it to round trip. So that would be the short trigger for Bitcoin. Of course, long trigger for Bitcoin, just to play devil's advocate here, would be if we get back above this level here, this 24,256, and then it starts to really show some clearance there, take profits along the way. Of course, the mid, this could be considered a range here. Okay, the mid of this range, probably around 24,680, and then up top here, 25,210. Could do that. There's no way to know for sure. We will have more clarity after the FOMC minutes. Okay, and of course, the minutes are released from decisions they made a month ago. It's how kind of them to wait a month to tell us about their policy changes. Okay, so Ethereum, what was the major trigger for Ethereum? For those of you that missed this, I did mention that this 1675 was the critical level for Ethereum. I emphasized this on multiple occasions. And what was happening on that 1H chart here, you see the breakdown, the retest, the breakdown, the retest, the breakdown. Okay, it's struggling to maintain, and you see these wicks here, and you see this diagonal. I don't use this in and of itself, but you see we have confluence. So this was actually the short trigger for me, and I was shorting all the way down from maybe 1660s, 1670. Got out of the trade when it did this, accidentally closed half my position, and then got back in quickly after because saw continued signs of weakness and breakdown from there. So still in the ETH short, probably going to continue to hold this for as long as possible, and expecting it to eventually come back down below this February open here, 1585. But let's just play out scenarios for those of you that maybe haven't entered this trade. Could come back up here, looking at this 1647 level here initially, maybe starts to break down and then breaks down below here, targets down here. For me, minimum target is 1500, but I actually don't have any take profit level set because I want to just see how far this is going to go, because it's been a long time coming for this. And maybe we just chop around in this range indefinitely. There's no way to know for sure, but just based on what I'm seeing with the dollar and the stock market, stocks are up today. SPY is up slightly today after the worst day of the year last year. Okay, so that should be another warning sign again. But I'm anticipating much more downside for Ethereum. And if that's the case, then the alts are really going to head lower. So looking at Injective, I'm going to share with you the alts where I have open positions because I know these the best. Okay. But actually, as a matter of fact, a lot of these are showing a lot of similarities. You see a major range that was essentially broken, big parabolic move up above that range, distribution pattern. And then we are seeing lower highs on the daily. Actually, Injective hasn't really done that yet. A pattern, it hasn't really broken that pattern yet, but I got in a little early on this. I was up, I think, above $4 on this trade here. And actually, a conservative entry for a trade like this would be the breakdown back into the range, right? And then targeting down the mid here and targeting this lower level here. Okay, so I was a little aggressive on my entries, but I was actually not taking large positions and had looser stops, which is appropriate in this sort of a circumstance. Okay, usually I would say trading alts for me right now, any alt that I'm trading at 10% stop is, I feel most comfortable with that, considering the price action that we've seen and the thin liquidity in these markets right now. So with Injective, maybe it comes back up. We can take a look on the lower time frames here. maybe it does come back up and retest this level. Of course, this would be a tremendous shorting opportunity here. I don't know that it will, but any sort of a bounce here, in my humble opinion, is for fading for me personally. And so I'm using the EMA bounce strategy that would be in effect here. So looking at the 12 and the 21, maybe it comes up to 391. But the trend is changing, and that's the most important thing to keep in mind here. The trend is changing. Do not fight the trend. If you fight the trend, you're going to get wrecked. Usually that's the case, right? Most of the movements, I believe, are going to be to the downside. Of course, I could be wrong about this. We could bounce around forever, but it just feels that way based on everything that we're seeing, okay? Injective isn't really the best signal there, but if you look at 𝐤𝐤𝐷X, another altcoin that I've shorted here, this one did make the lower high, and we'll see this on others as well, but you see big parabolic move, dead cat bounce here, breakdown back inside this major range here, okay? There was your short trigger, back inside, daily close back inside the range. Have we gotten a daily close back inside yet? Not yet, but this is a critical level for 𝐤𝐤𝐷X. If it continues to break down, show weakness, maybe we get the retest. I wouldn't be surprised if 𝐤𝐤𝐷X actually came all the way back up and retested this level. Maybe I should cover some of my short. If it came back and retested this and then started to break down, there's your short trigger, and that's right around 272.8. Okay, so of course 𝐤𝐤𝐷X could come back up here again, but I'm not in a position where I want to long anything right now. So that would be the long trigger for 𝐤𝐤𝐷X. Matic has been on a ridiculous run here, and that seems to have come to an abrupt halt. As is usually the case with Matic, and we saw that happen here, and look at how quickly it sold off. I would not long this. I would not try and catch the bottom here. Maybe if the rest of the market starts to show some support, find support, Ethereum, Bitcoin start to really bounce, then this would be a level here, because this is the previous range boundary, the upper range boundary here at around 130. Okay, so that would be a long trigger. But otherwise, maybe conservative entries for a short would be struggling breaking down from here. Okay, that's around 127, 130. We see that rejection there back inside the range, in which case most likely headed back down to this level here, this 102, and then potentially much lower from there. We shall see. Depends on the rest of the market. Optimism also showing that lower high setup here. Okay, so the initiation of the downtrend. Now on the daily, optimism is actually showing a lot of strength. Maybe optimism really does push back up again, all the way back up to this weekly level here, 278, before showing some weakness. But I'm actually not in the optimism trade because it started to show some strength over the last several 4H candles at this level of support here, which you can see this makes sense that it would bounce here. But I would be looking to see at 268, how's it going to do here? And then if it pushes higher, 278. Either way, eventually looking for another short setup for for optimism. I really think that it has seen its day here. It's probably headed back down. And again, there's a range here. Once it gets back inside this range, 221, then we're targeting all the way down the mid here. That's 135. And then maybe, never know, could come all the way back down to 0.52. Maybe that's wishful thinking for optimism. Phantom, same thing, right? It's the same pattern that's playing out here on all of these, okay? Lower high, okay? And pretty strong sell-off here, most likely going to bounce at this level. It's already showing some signs that it wants to bounce here, and we shall see if it can push back up. Maybe it pushes to the mid here and starts to break down, or maybe it pushes all the way back up to this 0.528 level, and then from there we can reevaluate maybe compounding onto shorts. I have not taken profits on my shorts because I am really wanting to try to catch as much of this move as possible. So I hope that you found this video helpful. There are, of course, many other altcoins, but these are the ones that I have on my main watch list right now. I try to focus on a handful of them at a time so that I don't confuse myself and so that I don't take too long on these streams. So Again, if you want to support my work, you can purchase my courses. You can sign up from XC. You can give me a shout out, give me a like, give me a comment. My last video, I had 0 comments, I think. I don't know why, but kind of crazy, you know. I mean, I think you guys, I know you're watching the videos, so would really help me out, and actually just for my own personal morale, because I don't interact with you all on a daily basis. It's not like we're sitting in a room together chatting. So thank you again for your support, and have a beautiful rest of your day.